Jake Oettinger picks up his second shutout of the season in a 3-0 win over the Kraken as the Dallas Stars have won 7 straight games, which matches a franchise record. But the Chris Tanev injury, how severe is it, and how could it affect the Dallas Stars defense moving forward?
Your Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. It's a pleasure to be with you. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105 Through the Fan and play-by-play voice of the Chippewa Steel. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. Happy April, Stars fans, and welcome back to another week of Locked On Stars. The Dallas Stars heater continues, 7 straight wins, a 3-0 shutout over the weekend against the Seattle Kraken, and the month of March was fruitful for many Stars player as well as the Stars as a whole. So much good stuff to jump into on today's episode, including Chris Tanev. What does his injury look like? How concerning is it? And it could really affect things moving forward, especially defensively for a Stars team that has been really solid as of late. We'll also touch on the final 7 games of the season here in April. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. Happy April Fool's Day. Happy Easter. You name it. Hit subscribe, like, and comment. The usual works. Today's episode is brought to you by Sleeper. Download the Sleeper app and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL to get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. So just a few thoughts on the Kraken game from a few nights ago, and then we'll jump into Tanev a bit. A really, really dominating road performance once again from the Dallas Stars, and they were just on their toes from the hop, and they outshot the Kraken 11-3 in that first period. It took them a while, but they finally break through in the second with Wyatt Johnston, who has 29 goals on the season. The beat goes on for him. Niels Lundqvist picks up a helper, and then the Stars benefit from a power play in that third period on the Chris Tanev hit, and they cash in with Joe Pavelski, and they just really shut it down from there. Their defense just continues to be really solid, especially in the middle of the rink. A lot of the shots that Oettinger faced were from the perimeter. There were some screens set up, but he was just so cool, calm, and collected. Only had to make 17 saves. They made his life very, very easy, and the Dallas Stars sweep their 4-game road trip. They've won 7 straight games, which matches a franchise record, and we'll see what they can do moving forward. But the Stars now have a road record of 25-9-5. That ties a franchise record for most road wins in a season. 55 points on the road this year, which also ties a record. And of course, they've won 7 road games in a row. So they've just been dominant away from the American Airlines Center. And there's a lot of contributing factors. They get better goaltending. They're top 5 in save percentage this season on the road. And Jake Oettinger has certainly looked better. And Scott Wedgwood, we know what he has done here as of late. And Otter has now won 4 in a row. He just continues to find a groove. He's up to 30 wins on the season. It was his 9th career shutout. His save percentage is at 900 now. His goals against is at 2.87. It's slowly starting to trickle down. And in his last 4 starts, and really the last month, he's somewhere in the top 10 in terms of save percentage. The goals against still isn't where we would hope it is, but continues to just play really, really strong in net. His rebound control is much better, and Razor points it out on the broadcast a ton, just the swagger he has. You can just tell when he's off and he's not feeling it, and we've seen that for a lot of the year, and he's just starting to play well. And it's probably just confidence. He would probably tell you more often than not, it wasn't anything physical. He's just more confident in his ability right now. And it could not come down or come at a perfect time. They ended up out shooting Seattle 30-17 on the night. They were great in the faceoff dot, 61%, just completely dominating. And it was just such a good road win against a Seattle team that has struggled. They struggled to score, and they didn't give the Kraken anything. They made them earn all their grade A high danger chances. They didn't have much on the night, and there was a lot of great play from a multitude of guys. I mean, Wyatt Johnston and his trio are just dominating every time they step out on the sheet. Big nights for Nils Lundqvist. Good to see him bounce back. It wasn't his best night previously against Vancouver, but he played over 13 minutes. Of course, picks up the assist. His game score was exactly 2 on that night. Esa Lindell had a big night on the penalty kill. He played over 22 minutes, 2.44 game score, and just a good night from a multitude of lines. The fourth line was really engaged. They provided some great shifts as well, and just kind of a prototypical road win for the Dallas Stars this season. Right up front, they play everybody. They all get their chances, and they play the majority of the time in the opponent's zone, and their defense just is solid, just much more solid. And now that kind of brings me and as we segue into Chris Tanev, because it was a scary hit that he took in that third period in the opening moments from Adam Larsson, and a little bit of a freaky, I guess, angle of the hit where his arm kind of got caught underneath him, and it did not look initially very pretty, and he went right down the tunnel, and you could tell he was keeled over, and he eventually came back to the bench, which is a good sign because he's as tough as they come. The amount of injuries he's even endured this season when he was in Calgary. We all know he can fight through a lot of pain, and Pete DeBoer did mention he was unable to finish the contest. It said Chris Tanev came back to the game but couldn't finish the contest. More testing expected when the team returns to Dallas. And I am certainly really, really concerned about it because, let's face it, his introduction into the lineup has stirred up a lot of question marks about the Stars defense. They found a partner that works with Lindell, Heiskanen, and Harley. They found that about halfway through the season, and that was working, but we all know the holes that were behind them. And you were able to split up Lindell and Hakanpää, and Chris Tanev and Lindell have been your stingiest pairing since he joined the lineup. And then Nils Lundqvist, since the Hakanpää injury, has stepped up, and Ryan Suter and him have become a phenomenal pairing. They've become really, really good together. And with Tanev possibly being out moving forward, you have to be concerned about where the Stars defense could be headed. And maybe now you have to see Lindell, Harley and Heiskanen get switched up to kind of spread the wealth somewhere, right? I think that is a very real possibility. And of course, this is all happenstance right now, and we still don't know anything as of yet, as I'm recording this late here on Sunday night. Maybe we'll know more by the time this episode drops, or by the time you're listening to this. And hopefully it's good news. It did not look good, the visual of it, but of course it brings some solitude that he did come back out on the bench. But he is a tough guy. He probably thought he could, go through it and finish it off. But maybe the Stars were just being cautious as well by not having him continue to play. That is also a situation. So a lot of things kind of go through your mind. It's hard to come on here and give a perfect explanation of what's going to happen, maybe what's the plan, just because we still don't know a ton left and testing has to be done. But I don't have to be the first to tell any Stars fans that this is concerning if he's out of the lineup. And how long? How long? We're 3 weeks away from starting the playoffs. And yeah, I'm going to be very concerned if he's not in the lineup, because we've seen this defense for, what was it, 65 games without him. And they were not a very good defensive team. Straight up, they're middle of the pack in goals against average most of the year. Hakanpää and Suter was not a very viable pairing. And yeah, I mean, your PK really struggled, especially in that month of February. And albeit they played some really good teams during that stretch, but there's a lot of concerns if Tanev is not in the lineup. And I hope for good news here this week. But he did come out on the bench after he took the hit, which is a good sign. And hopefully it's something he can either work through, or he just needs a few weeks of rest to be ready to go. And I would be under the school of thought that if it's nothing that is hampering him or keeps him out the rest of the season, keep him out for a few weeks if need be. Like, he needs to be ready when the time matters most. We brought him in for the playoffs. That's why they went and got him. And yes, there's a possibility he could re-sign with the Stars next year. But look, you're in win now mode, and you need him healthy and ready to go for round 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. That's all that matters at this point. And I'm still getting ahead of myself, not knowing what the severity of the injury is and everything. And of course, we can hope for the best, but I'm concerned. I certainly am, because we've watched the Stars defense without him for a lot of games, a lot of months, and it wasn't pretty, and it wasn't as consistent as it has been since he's came into the lineup. And they haven't played a ton of great teams during this stretch. They certainly haven't, but they haven't given up a ton of goals either. Look at the last 7 here in the win. I want to say the most they've given up is maybe that 3 against San Jose, but it's, nothing, 2, 1. So they're obviously playing some of their best hockey at the moment. And Chris Tanev would be a huge blow. He absolutely would be, especially with Hakanpää still out. You don't have a body right now to fill in. There's no signs of him skating as of yet, and no real timetable for his return. So you may be shorthanded a bit, and we'll have to see how the Stars roll with it. Good news is they have a couple days off here before they take on Edmonton on Wednesday. Let's recap the month of March, however, as we move forward, because it was an incredible month of March for the Stars. Such good play. And let's shine and highlight some of the big moments in the month of March as we prepare for the final push. And we'll do that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Sleeper. The playoffs are right around the corner, Stars fans, and they are in the top spot in the Western Conference. And I want to remind you, you could win big by playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. Sleeper is our #1 choice for daily fantasy sports, and especially daily fantasy hockey. Because with Sleeper, you win 100 times your cash paying daily fantasy hockey contests. All you have to do is pick the studs of the world. You got the McDavids, the McKinnons, or Jason Robertson, and you record more or less on Sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, saves, plus minus, and you can win 100 times your bet on Sleeper. 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper if you correctly predict the outcome of 8-player stats. So start paying attention. Nail your picks, and you can start winning big. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL, and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and location availability. Alrighty, so the month of March was pretty dominating for the Dallas Stars, and it could have been even more dominating if it wasn't for a collapse in the third period against the Florida Panthers and the dud they kind of laid on home ice against the New Jersey Devils. But in their 13 games, they went 11-2. They pulled themselves back to the top in the Western Conference. I want to say they fell to third at one point, but they pick up 22 points in the month, which is tied for second with Edmonton. Carolina actually led the way with 23 points, but they played 2 more games. So the Stars picked up more points, or I should say at least the same amount of points in less games in that month. Of course, I just documented the incredible road success they had. They also had that little mini 5-game homestand in the middle of it, but more importantly, the offense continues to just keep pace, over 4 goals per game in the month of March, and that was third in the National Hockey League. Their goals against was right around middle of the pack, so nothing too great, so to speak, or it actually was in the top 10, excuse me, at 2.46 goals allowed per game. So that's in the top 10, which is a great sign. They've been in the middle of the pack for the majority of the season, but since Tanev was acquired, the Stars defense has shored up, especially post All-Star break. They've been much better as a team defensively. Their power play has been really deadly, 30% in those 13 games. That was second in the National Hockey League. Their PK really dipped at 16th in the league at 79%. So their PK definitely took a hit, and they had some off nights in that department. But as you know, it was a relatively very, very good month for the Stars, especially Jamie Benn, who I think has a NHL Player of the Month coming his way. 19 points in 13 games. That includes 9 goals and 10 assists. Wyatt Johnston had 10 goals, which led the Stars in the month. And quietly, Robertson was second in points in the month of March with 17. 7 goals and 10 assists. And you can tell the power play numbers were up huge. Jamie Benn had 5 power play tucks. Robertson with 3. Miro ended up leading the defense with 11 points. Good to see him kind of get back contributing a bit more, especially on the power play too. He certainly started to show some signs of life there. And a big shout out to Niels Lundqvist, who played in 8 games and ended up with 4 assists. He kind of had to jump back in after being healthy scratch for a large stretch there post All-Star break. And he's done an excellent job since filling in for Yanni Hakanpää. But another strong performance in the month of March. Benn, Robertson, Johnston, Pavelski, Miro, and Rope Hintz were your leading scorers in the month of March. And they took care of teams they should have taken care of, which is a good sign. And they beat some really quality teams in the month too, like LA, who I know has struggled, but you finish off with Vancouver and Seattle. But they took on Arizona a few times, San Jose 3 times. So they took all the points that were available in those opportunities. And you can say what you want, but they've won 7 straight, and they had some dominating performances. It's a nice thing to see moving forward. They're starting to really play their best hockey at an important time. And I'm going to say that ad nauseum down the stretch, but it's true. You want to be confident and feel like you still have a bit more to give heading into the playoffs, because that's where the answers, or that's where the questions lie with this Dallas Stars team. We knew they were a top 5-10 team in the National Hockey League this season heading into the year. At least we thought. And things, of course, cannot go to plan, but This is right around where we thought the Stars were going to be, in the top 3 in the Central, albeit I had them second in the Western Conference this season, and they're first right now, and they've clinched a playoff spot. They have 103 points, 47, 19, and 9 with 7 games remaining, a plus 56 goal differential. Haven't seen that in a while, and they're 8-2 in their last 10. And as of right now, they'd be matched up with an LA Kings team that they dominated in 3 games during their season series. It's probably better than Nashville. Which you thought for a moment you were going to have to play, and you could still play Winnipeg. I think Colorado is probably out of the question because Winnipeg has fallen behind a bit here in the month. I don't see them closing in on Colorado, so you're either going to play Winnipeg or you got Nashville or LA, and I'm really confident in all 3 of those series. I would have the Stars winning any of those. I really would. And Nashville is going to be really sketchy because of the heater that the Preds are on. And of course, anything can happen, right? It's the first round of the NHL playoffs. At the end of the day, we've seen big upsets. Look at last season for that matter. So there's still a lot of things that have to fall into place, but they're comfortably in second place in the National Hockey League, just behind the New York Rangers for the President's Cup trophy. Who knows? Maybe they win that. They did win the Stanley Cup the last time they did. So a very interesting final 7 games remain. But March was just awesome. A lot of fun. Can't complain about winning hockey. And it was the way they won, right? It was the way they won. Some of it was defensively being stout. Some of it was just like, well, our offensive talent's better. And then you got a few where Jake Oettinger was incredible, like really, really good. And that's a recipe for success in this league, right? Depth, you got above average defense, and you have a number 1 netminder. It's going to win you a lot of hockey games, and it will win you a lot of hockey games in April and into May. So hopefully that continues. Let's look ahead at the next 7 games. Let's talk about this final playoff push and what that will entail moving forward for the Dallas Stars with a couple of days before a Wednesday matchup with the Edmonton Oilers. And we'll do that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by FanDuel. The sports calendar is loaded, and FanDuel's making it even more exciting to get in on the action, Stars fans. Because right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can use to bet the tourney, MLB, NHL, NBA, and so much more. You name it. We have the Final Four coming up. We have national championships in hockey. The Frozen Four is in a few weeks in St. Paul, Minnesota. We got the MLB that's just started up, the NHL playoffs. Oh, there's so many ways for you to make some cash while sitting on that couch because new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. So go to FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet a big win. FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make that bet a big win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Hey, Stars fans, looking for some sports talk, looking for some debate shows? Go ahead and go over to Locked On Sports today. It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the unnecessary chatter. Locked On Sports today. It brings you can't miss analysis. They got opinions. It is on YouTube, also on the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. It is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, just like Locked On Stars. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Never miss an episode of Locked On Stars. Appreciate all the love and support per usual. You guys have been so amazing and so engaging here as of late as we all prepare for the playoffs. It's been a lot of fun this year, and the Stars are kicking butt. They absolutely are, and hopefully that can continue into the month of April. So 7 games remain. Their first matchup is with the Edmonton Oilers. This game was actually flexed, by the way, to a national TV game. It's a late puck drop, which I can't stand, but 8:30, and it's at home against the Oilers. It will be on TNT, but fortunately, 5 of the 7 are at home. They have a back-to-back on the road against Chicago and Colorado here on the weekend. But you get Edmonton, you get Chicago, you get Colorado, Buffalo, Winnipeg, Seattle, and St. Louis. So a lot of options there for the Stars to pick up a few more points. Chicago should be a cakewalk. Buffalo, you would think, and you've played Seattle well, and St. Louis at that point should be out of it too. So, yeah, I mean, a nice final stretch, I would say. I probably don't see the Stars resting anybody. Pete DeBoer doesn't seem to be that type of coach. You may see Sagan take a night off or two just because of dealing with his injury. Chris Tanev now, to which I alluded to earlier, maybe if he is a bit banged up, maybe they do want to kind of leave him out of the lineup. But I would think they still want to push for the Central Division title. It makes their road a lot easier because you could miss Colorado in the second round, possibly, depending on how it all shapes out. So winning the Central would be big at this point. The great news is, at this point, I can confidently say you probably miss Colorado. You miss them in the first round, which was probably the best case scenario for Dallas, and they've probably done that now. But if you win the Central, you have a chance to miss Colorado in the second round, and you're going to have to play a good team either way. But I would think that scares you probably the most. Just they're really good. And Vancouver, right? Who knows, with them kind of being in the fire for the first time as a young core, so to speak. And then Edmonton's going to be Edmonton. Who knows if goaltending is going to hold up, why their world-class players just go insane. And who knows with Vegas. Everybody's going to be healthy, so we're going to have to see when round 1 starts. Vegas could easily be the best team in the Western Conference in game 1 of round 1 because they'll be at full strength, and that just hasn't been the case this season. But it should be a fun little final push here, and the cards will fall where they may, and we'll eventually get some more clarity on who the Stars will play and what that first round's going to look like. But on a 7-game win streak, let's break the franchise record. Why not? Let's break a few more records. Let's make it 8 straight against Edmonton. So that'll be a tough task, but would love for them to continue the streak. By the way, a little nugget there for you. I'm sure you heard about, but I'd be remiss not to mention it. Wyatt Johnston, 100 career points now when he picked up his 29th goal of the season. Looks like he's going to get 30 this season. Stars don't have a 30-goal scorer yet. So Wyatt Johnston should probably get that done. And and Rope Hintz probably can as well. He's just a few off, but a lot of good stuff. And I feel like I've come on here a lot. I'm just pumping tires. I'm inflating the Stars right now. But hey, they haven't given me a ton to be upset about here as of late. So we're gonna praise them when need be. We're gonna criticize when need be as well. And hopefully Chris Tanev is healthy enough here down the stretch as we will learn more as he get tested, and we may find out here why you're taking this podcast in. So so that's kind of where we stand here after a Monday, after the weekend in the National Hockey League. Thank you guys as always so much. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hope you enjoyed a wonderful weekend with friends, family, enjoyed some good food, and you're ready to jump back in it. I sure as heck am. Let's have a great week. All right, Stars fans. I need to catch up on some rest. I feel a cold coming on as well, which I'm not thrilled about. So I'll probably pop a few NyQuil, and it's lights out for me. and I'll see you on Tuesday. So long, Stars fans.